has to give a wonderful presentation on OBE. So eagerly I'm waiting for that. I thank you to all guys. And now I request Rajalakshmi ma'am to introduce the resource person to us. Ma'am, over to you.
Yeah, good morning, one and all. This is Dr. Rajalakshmi from HITAM College, and I'm very happy that yesterday's session was so interesting. We got a great feedback from every one of you. I congratulate my team, and also I'm very happy that I'm a part of HITAM College here. So, I'd like to go with our Namita ma'am, welcoming you here onto the FDP program. I would like to read on Namita ma'am profile. So, Dr. Namita Soni has been associated with the Mahakal Institution of Management, Ujjain, since September 1, 2005. She took over as director of in the institution, prior to which she has served in Hyderabad ICFAI Business School. She has been involved in teaching financial services, international finance, research methodologies, and other finance-oriented subjects, courses at a post-graduation level to the students of management. She completed her BCom, MCom as a minorities and also student, and she has acquired her PhD from PT JNIBM, Vikram University, Ujjain. She has presented a number of papers in national and international conferences, which was related to finance and education. She has supervised a number of research projects. She has, to her credits, more than 28 research papers in journals and books. She has edited books in the area of management. She is a recognized PhD guide in Vikram University, Ujjain. And currently 6 research scholars are registered under her. Dr. Namita Soni has been engaged in corporate training and is recognized by EPFO, Zonal Training Center. She has also conducted training programs for executives. She is also a motivational speaker and has conducted workshops on topics like thinking your way out. Currently, she has books on communication skills, is published by Himalayan Publications, New Delhi. Today, I'm very proud and glad that, ma'am, you are there with us. Would like to go the session with you and hope that all of us will have a meaningful and productive time. Thank you. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, madam. I'm so glad that I've got this opportunity to be with all of you. I'm hoping that I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the major ideas that the panel have given me the opportunity to talk about is the research and the research publications.
Yes.
We were even supposed to talk about the review of literature and various other activities which are required for the purpose of publication of our papers in various journals. I'm hoping many of the people here who are our participants, the team members and everyone must have written a lot of research papers and have done a lot of research reviews in various different journals and in various conferences. I'm sure about that. Basically, I'm here to talk about how a research paper could be planned, how research could be conducted. It could be in the area of science, it could be in the area of social science, it could be in the area of humanities, any particular area. As Rajalakshmi madam has introduced me, and she told that I have currently been included as I'm normally considered as one of the trainers to be a motivational speaker. But yes, one more thing that I need to include is that I am a research methodology trainer for the engineering and other subject oriented PhD scholars who go for their courseworks. So I thought this would be one of the areas that would help us all out for developing our own research paper. Do you think this session would be useful for all of you? I just wish that we all can participate and talk rather than just being an audience. I wish we can have an interactive session. Right, Rajalakshmi ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. That's the reason you are a trainer.
Right. I wish that whatever I say that could help you out. Do you think the topic of today is interesting and a useful topic?
Certainly, ma'am.
Few of the things that we all, whenever we are thinking about writing a research paper, we always know that a terminology which is known as research methodology always creeps in and is sometimes, because we are the most of the members are of humanities, so most of the people think that what kind of idea this research methodology talks about. I just want to ask a question before entering into the details about the research methodology. Are you in any particular stream of your humanities? Are you specially taught a subject of research methodology before you have done your PhDs? Have you ever gone through the subject of research methodology?
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
6-month course.
Right, 6 months course. Why do you think that research methodology course is such an important course? Though humanities, we don't go for any experimental kind of studies, right? Or we do go for any experimental kind of study. Can I recollect few papers that you all might have written in different journals? Anyone can just tell about the topic that you have written in a research journal, or you have given your paper in a conference. Just communicate any such paper that you have gone for, please. The title of the paper would be good enough, please. I'm waiting for the response. Anyone? You can even share it with the help of a chat. I am reading the chat also. I'll be okay with the chat responses also. Kindly write any title that you have gone through or written in a journal or in a conference as your research paper. I just wanted to know about that so that we can move ahead. Anyone? As I said, more the participative idea, more would be the learning.
Yes, madam. Actually, the paper we had in the post-graduation, I mean, MA English Literature,
Oh, that's
is research
great.
methodology, because I think it's like a basic paper. We should know how to write a research article
Right,
and all.
research.
And
Right.
beyond that, I would have done, I mean, the research paper on enhancing soft skills,
Oh, great.
because that is my domain.
Oh,
So
that's great.
beyond, I mean, English teacher, I should contribute, I mean, towards training part also. So that's the reason
Right.
I'm belonging here, like a soft skill trainer also.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
So yes,
Right.
please go.
As Sir said, that one of the areas where he have been contributing is especially talking about how research can help in, sir, basically is talking about how research helped him in contributing to the complete society in a general manner. We all know that we do a very important task, being a humanities, English and communication people. We all are doing a very special work and contribution. We are giving a special contribution to the society, because what are we doing? We are helping people to communicate their ideas to others. But what about representing your ideas to people? We may be very good in communication, but what are the basics of some important contributions which could be tested and trialed with the help of a research, and then those research can be made useful to the people, to the general people, to the organizations, to the corporates, to the people, the students who are genuinely interested in improving their communication skills. Improving communication skills could be one of the areas where a lot of research could be conducted. We all know that one of the basic idea that even the government is talking about is skill development, right? And one of the ways to develop skill, one of the very important skill is communication skills, right? Writing research paper on communication skills can not only contribute to or not only add to your papers, the count of your papers, but it also helps you in contributing to the society in general, because this area helps you contribute not only to the students, not only to the few small organizations, but to the corporates who are looking forward for good students. I would start my topic initially by starting what research methodology is. We'll talk about various process steps which are required in the research methodology, and this next session that we'll be talking about few very specific nitty-gritties of writing a research papers. That would be the whole structure of the program or the talk that we are going to discuss. So I'm going to start with the PPT presentation and sharing the screen. Give me a second, please. Madam, please allow me to share my screen. Rajakshmi ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. She is not there. I'm there.
Right. My side is disabled with sharing of the screen. I'm like not allowed to share my screen. Kindly allow me to share the screen so that I can show the PPT.
Yes, ma'am. 1 minute.
Right. I'm waiting for this. Meanwhile, all the participants who are here, I know that interaction in the first session, people might be busy somewhere, or you might be engaged in some thought process, because morning time is somehow we are engaged, so engaged that we are not able to contribute. Definitely, I'm surely waiting for your contribution so that we can start being in an interactive session. So I'm waiting for everyone to respond. Rajalakshmi ma'am, it's still not, still I'm unable to share the screen.
Madam, 1 minute. We have a little bit technical issue.
No issues, no issues.
1 minute.
That's perfectly fine. Meanwhile, I'm just going to introduce the research methodology part with all of you, so that it gets we all get accustomed to the idea of research methodology. Whenever we talk about research methodology, it is basically a method with which we normally conduct research. Why it is important and why it was taught to be included at each and every level of research. Normally, when I did my research in 2006, I started doing my research. At that time, the idea of research methodology as a subject was not so common in other streams, especially in the streams of management. It was there, but in the stream other streams like humanities and all, it was not included, right? And in the stream of science also, it was not given that prominence, because people thought that giving a experimentation research result would be good enough. But why research methodology? We'll just talk about that. First of all, research methodology. Okay, I'll just share the screen first. Yes, I'm allowed to share the screen. Right. Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay, that's good. We'll just see the definition and then we'll move ahead. Research, we all know, it's a careful investigation in any part of any branch of knowledge. It could be in the field of science, it could be in the social science fields, it could be in humanities or any other field. Whenever we talk about research, it is an idea which is specifically talks about finding out something new, finding out something which is applicable, finding out something which is somehow. Does the screen share stop? Just a second. Just a second. Is it visible, or am I not able to show the screen?
No, ma'am, it's not visible.
It's not visible. Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Is
It's
Is it-
loading, ma'am.
Acha, it's loading. Okay. Okay. In this on the screen, it is visible. Your screen share is paused.
Yeah. I think there is an issue of bandwidth or internet from your side,
No,
ma'am.
no. I have a good internet connectivity. I am
Okay.
having
Ma'am, please just stop once, then try to reshare it.
right. I'll do that. Just a second.
Yes, it is
Yes.
working now.
Yes. Okay. That's good. That's good. Right. Somehow stopped again. Just a second. Just a minute. Just a second. I'll just get. Okay, now I think it would be sorted. Okay. Yes, we're here. So we were talking about research methodology. We all know research basically talks about finding out something new, and the methodology is basically the method with which we continue or we perform our research. Right? We all know that methodology basically talks about the whole process itself. Why methodology is important? One of the very important ideas to research is that the research methodology, which is normally adopted either by the science graduates, by the social science graduates, or it may be with the by the humanities or any other stream graduates, the methodology more or less remains the same. The differentiation occur in the methods that we normally adopt for performing research. I'm just going to share the screen. All of you can have a look. These are the research process. This is the basic research process that we normally adopt for conducting the research. Whenever we are performing research, we need to know that research methodology incorporates these following steps, which ensure that the process of research is universal. Right? The first step is defining the research problem. The second is review of literature. The third is generation and generating hypothesis. Fourth is research design, collection of data, analyzing, interpreting, and report writing. I'm going to discuss all of these stages in detail with all of you. Why research has considered as one of the prominent phenomena? Because it is a way through which you can contribute to the whole society. Normally, it is said that Indians are not contributing enough in the research area. You know what is the major reason for the same? It is not about that we are not doing research. We are not doing enough research. No, it's not about that. It's not even about that we don't know the methodology or methods. No, it's not even about that.
Sorry
It's
for the
about-
interruption, madam.
Right, sir.
Can you make full screen, ma'am, please?
Right.
Participants are asking.
I'll do that, sir. I'll do that.
Thank you.
Right. It's not just a second, sir. As in when I do the full screen, the process stops. I don't know what's the reason for the same. As in when I'm opting for the full screen, the process of showing of the whole table just, I don't know what's the reason. Just a second. Let me have a look. When I resume the slide,
let me guide you, madam. At the bottom,
Right.
line, you have cursor.
slideshow.
The cursor. Click on that, madam. At the bottom, third one.
Right,
Right-hand
sir,
side.
I can see the slideshow, right? It is visible to me. But as and when I click this slideshow, the whole screen, the sharing stops. It says your screen sharing is paused. I don't know what's the reason for the same. I'll just a second, I'll stop it once more and then I'll share it again. I don't know what's the reason. I'll first put it on a full screen schedule and then I'll share the screen. Just a second, I'm going to share the screen now. Yes, yes. So is it fine now? Is it visible to everyone now? Hello?
Yes,
Is it?
ma'am.
Right. So these,
Yes,
so I was just talking about why it is considered that Indians are not contributing much in the field of research. Though it is very clear that Indians are performing research at their levels. Indians are doing a lot of research. Even we conduct a lot of research with our students. We keep on conducting and experimenting with the students that we are teaching. We even collect data, but the whole process is somehow not documented, and that is one of the major flaws that Indians face. Don't you think that we are the best people in solving and resolving problems whenever problem comes up with? Why Indians are taking all the major positions in all the fields and in all the countries? Because we are very good at problem solving. So it means that we have been continuously doing research analysis and we are solving the problems, because the research process starts with problem. None of the research process starts without a research problem. I was just reading one of the research papers which talks about how technological communication could be improved in organization. We have been doing this since centuries for our students, that how technical communication we can improve for our students. Just the missing idea is that we don't document the same and we don't put it in the form of research papers. The Western country people document each and everything we don't even think important as. आप बताइए, Indians know that the importance of family, a big family, is very much. On the family day only the Westerners talk about family, but normally Indians know the importance of family. We never ever thought about doing a research onto that, but the Western country people do the research, publish, and get very high accountability and very high respect for conducting such papers. So one of the blockage that we have in our brains is that we can't write papers, or we don't have the whole skills for doing the same. That is to be eliminated. Secondly, the idea about defining the research problem is to be very strictly and stringently identified. What normally happens, we don't consider research problem as the problem that we face regularly. We consider whenever we have to write a research paper, the problem has to be something which should be according to a research paper only. That is one of the ideas that is to be eliminated from your brains. Any problem that comes in front of you in a regular format could be considered as a research problem, even if it is about how are you putting your efforts to improve the communication skills of your students. Why? Because the similar problem might be faced by other people also, and then what you can do, you can help other people with your research paper, how you have solved, and they can use the similar methodology for solving the problem. But for formulating a research problem, few of the major ideas have to be seen. What are those major ideas? First of all, there are two different kinds of problem. The first is the status or the nature of the problem itself. Say, for example, we are trying to find out how students' communication skills could be improved, or how good communication skills help in improving a particular person's position, or helping in promotion of an individual in an organization. Any idea could be there in your research as your research topic. First of all, you have to identify what is the state of nature of your problem. What kind of problem you're trying to resolve. The second thing is, what are the variables under study? There could be various variables in the study, right? Variables are basically the parameters which are normally studied. Just a second. Somehow the screen stopped. Okay. Okay. So variables are basically the parameters on which the research are to be conducted. Say, for example, you're trying to study relationship of good communication and the particular person's performance in corporates. Relationship of communication skills and performance in corporate. That could be two variables that could be studied. Whenever you are doing any of your research, these kind of variable and the state of nature has to be made very, very clear. The research problem starts with a very broad general discussion or a very important query that comes into your mind. Sometimes you're teaching students and you know that this student is a very good student and having good communication skills. And sometimes you know that there is a gap between other students and one of a good student in the class. You might just have a query in your mind that I'm just going to see whether this helps in the placement of the individual student. If yes, that could be one of the query that is defined in a broad general manner. This broad general manner is now to be made specific. The general specification of the question or a problem that have come in front of you is now to be made specific. There are two phrases or two steps of phrasing the whole problem. First of all, understanding the problem well. That is the most important thing. Normally what happens, we don't understand the problem and we start doing the research. Whenever you must have done a research paper, normally we start writing research paper in 2 or 3 conditions. I'll just state the conditions. If you think it is yes, give a thumbs up, please. Okay. 1, a conference normally comes in front of us. 2, there is a requirement for a PhD to complete 2 or 3 or 4 research papers. 3, when we write a paper because we think our colleague has written a lot of paper and that's why I also need to write few more papers. 4, we write research paper because we think that somehow I'll collect the data and write research paper. When we write research paper because we are genuinely interested in the topic, does it normally happen? If it happens to you, then you are a genuine researcher. Please raise your hand. How many people have written research paper because an interesting topic came in front of them? Please, I just want a response so that I can know that there are a lot of researchers here. I'm waiting for the response. At least you can give a thumbs up or you can say no so that I can know that you're all listening to me. Acha, abhi still people are still in the state of thinking ke arey madam bol kya rahe hain. Acha, I have a chat response. Acha, yes madam, okay, listening. Acha, no, yes. Okay, Anand sir is stating. Anand sir, I'm glad that I'm able to see you. I know, I know somebody is listening at least. Or Ishrat madam is also there. She's also listening. I'm glad that few of you all are listening, right? So the next idea is to check the feasibility. Normally, you must have heard about various kinds of research phenomenon. One of the phenomenon that I'll just talk about, one of the kind of research that is was conducted by Harvard School of Business. What they thought that all those people who are studying from the best school of the whole globe, Harvard is considered as one of the best school of the whole globe. So they thought that we'll do a research on our students who have already studied, and we'll do a research which would be carried on for a very long period of time. They thought about doing it for the 50-year period. So what they did, first of all, they identified the research, the people who have done their studies from Harvard. Then secondly, they collected the data about them. And nextly, they tracked those people, what they are currently doing. You know, when Harvard was thinking, they knew and they were very well versed that anyone who's doing their studies from Harvard are going to excel in their life. But somehow they came to know that not all perform or achieve the best, or they are not all at the same level. And one of the major reasons they identified for conducting such a study, that one of the major differentiation between people is the communication skills that they have. And that was given by the Harvard scholars in their research, that communication skill plays such an important role, right? Such kind of research which was conducted was a very big period study. Normally, data to such study is not easy to acquire, to gather, to collect, but still people conduct the research, they did the research, and they found out a lot of different kinds of explanation why. So there were so many different explanations. So whenever you're doing research, it is important to check the feasibility of your research. One of the very important ideas while formulating a research problem is to have a discussion with the expert. Normally, when we discuss with the experts help us to identify area which are untapped. Most of you might be knowing the idea of research gap. The research gap is basically the limitations that are set by previous researchers, the areas where they have been unable to tap. Normally, whenever you are trying to do research, you should always find out those gaps in the researches, those people, any area, whatever you consider that is an interesting area, that is an area where you like to work. Every area has some or the other research gaps. These research gaps are going to help you out with doing a good research. And these research gaps, normally the experts help you in coming up with. Whenever you're trying to find out a research gap, one, you should discuss with it with the expert, and two, you should conduct a very strong literature review. You all might be aware what literature review is all about. Literature review talks about doing a survey on the books, journals, conference papers, and other conference proceedings that are published, or sometimes not even published, but you read those papers, you study those studies, and then you find out what they have done and what you could perform. The research gap normally plays a very prominent role in formulating your research problem. Normally, people think that what would happen when we study old studies, old researches. No, those studies plays a very, very prominent role, because they are going to tell you how are they limited and how are you going to fill in that gap. So these are the things that you need to take care while you are formulating the problem. There is a sequential pattern that is to be followed whenever you are identifying the problem. There are to be a lot of formulations. Say, for example, you do a study of communications, a study of impact of good communication skills on student performance, a study of impact of good communication skills on student performance, right? This is a formulation that you might come with a lot of previous general specifications. Which kind of students are you talking about? Are you talking about humanities students? Are you talking about specific MBA students? Are you talking about engineering students? So all these specifications are to be made. More and more specific you are, the better research you'll be able to do. Every specification need to be more analytical and more realistic. You must have heard about a research design idea in the research process. I'm just going to show you a screen once. You all can see here, here it is written the research design, first, second, third, and fourth. The fourth stage here is a research design, right? Whenever we talk about this research design idea, that is nothing but it is about the planning of your research, how you plan your research. Here we are just formulating the problem to a more realistic way so that we can plan the complete research in a proper direction. A good extensive literature survey. Why it is important? As I've told you, it is the base of your research. Whenever you are doing an extensive literature survey, what it would help you in? It would help you in being fresh. It helps you in being new. It helps you in being more relevant. It helps you in being more to the time and more recent. If you ensure, if you want to be fresh, new, you want to be relevant, an extensive literature survey is the need of the hour. People think, okay, 10 review would be good enough, 10 paper reviewed, okay, a good number. No. I just give you a number of hours that you should spend for extensive literature survey. Say, for example, you are writing a research paper for a good journal. The number of hours that you should spend for literature survey should be 1/3 of the complete research paper writing process. Say, for example, you're taking 3 days for writing your research paper. So 1/3 period of time should be for extensive literature survey. Why it is important? It would ensure that you don't overdo some topic which is already being done. It would ensure that you find out something new, right? It would ensure that whatever you do is a relevant topic. It is a relevant research, right? So it helps you in finding out the research gap, avoid duplication, studying any earlier studies. Why studying earlier studies? To find out their own methodologies, the way they have collected the data, the way they have analyzed the data, and the results they have come up with. So these are the things that you will be able to know about that. You'll be able to identify new areas, and then you'll be able to develop a design. As I've already told you, I'm just going to repeat the idea of research design again. The research design is basically a plan for conducting a research, right? And whatever plan the previous people might have studied or identified, that would help you in understanding or developing how a good design you can develop, right? Extensive literature survey helps you in identification of sources where you can conduct your from where you can find out the data. It could be previous journals, it could be previous PhD studies, it could be associated with some previous research conference proceedings, it could be associated with some previous books, any books. So these are the sources from where you can go for a literature survey. Bibliography cards also plays very prominent role. Bibliography cards are basically identification of those books which can help you for your in your own research area, right? Say, for example, you're doing research on communication or organizational communication or technical communication. So books which are of that particular area, you can help to identify with the help of bibliography cards, and then you can conduct a extensive literature survey. Development of hypothesis. I don't know whether, I'm not really very sure whether these hypotheses plays prominent role in communication papers or not, but yes, this can help you in making your paper analytical. I consider that normally somehow communication, we think that is a conceptual idea. but I just wish to communicate very important thing to all of you, that communication is an area where maximum analytical research is being done. I know, I just wanted to know from all of you that whenever you're writing a paper, have you, it is an intensive reading. Acha, madam is stating that the literature survey can't be extensive. It is an intensive reading. Madam, I'm just going to respond to your question. Just a second. Dr. Sabhita, I just want to respond you about that. That why it is called an extensive literature survey rather than an intensive reading. I just want to be very word specific. Extensive. Why it is considered as or intensive reading? Yes, I'll say extensive literature survey requires intensive reading. Dr. Sabhita, I don't know, but yes, I think I've been able to resolve the problem. Extensive means including a lot of areas which may be related to your topic and somehow a little closer to your topic. And every time whenever you're going for an extensive literature survey, intensive reading is required in each and every paper. A little later, as and when we'll be going to the next session, I'll tell you how this extensive literature survey is conducted. Dr. Sabhita, am I able to resolve the question of yours?
Thank you very much, but I believe that you can't be extensive literature survey. Literature survey should be restricted to the topics.
Right,
You
madam,
can't
just
be-
right. I agree, but this
the word extensive cannot be used before the literature survey, because the literature survey restricted to the topic or the research title which the scholar has taken.
just a second, Sabhita madam, I just want to be very clear and very specific. The extensive literature survey, especially here, talks about doing an extensive literature survey related with your topic only, but not excluding any specific area. Extensive does not mean that you can go for a literature survey which is not associated with the topic. No, it's not about that. It's not at all about that. But yes, the extensive literature survey specifically talks about the topic itself and doing an extensive literature survey in the topic or the specific area only. Extensive does not specify that you are opening the areas. Extensive means that being very specific and being extensive in the same area. You should not leave any stones unturned is the idea of being extensive here. Dr. Sabhita, am I okay with that? Do you think?
Thank
Shall we
you very
move?
much. Yes. Go ahead.
Right. Extensive literature survey. So we were talking about the same. So we move to the next idea. That is the development of hypothesis. Hypothesis is one of the areas which normally may be included in the research papers or may not be included in the research papers. Sometimes we're writing conceptual papers. There are different kinds of paper. So conceptual paper sometimes may just include some important concepts that you are think that you need to develop or you need to communicate to the people, a new concept which is there, like an idea of banker insurance came into the idea, and I wrote a conceptual paper onto that. That conceptual paper was introducing the idea of banker insurance. So sometimes we write conceptual papers, sometimes we write experimental papers or analytical papers. These analytical papers that we are writing incorporate hypothesis. Again, as is already considered that hypothesis may be considered as a part of the research, sometimes it may not be considered as a part of research, but still a tentative generalization. Hypothesis is basically a tentative generalization. It is a focal point. It helps you in generalization, but it finally leads to a focal point of your research. It helps you in testing and quantifying the data that you have collected. It makes or ensures that your research becomes very specific. Say, for example, you're trying to find out the communication skills, a study on communication skills of students of MBA and their performance in their examinations or in their performance in their interviews, right? Such kind of research, when you're conducting, you may be interested in finding out whether male and female have a different kind of response or not. Or you may be interested in finding out the students who are having experience, because MBA students can be experienced, have holding experience, and they can be freshers also. So they may apply for MBA degree being a fresher, they may apply for MBA degree being an experience holder. So there could be a differentiation between them. Whenever you're trying to chalk out such differentiation, a hypothesis is a must. And hypothesis helps you in chalking out those differentiation. As I've already told you, that this hypothesis may be the part of your study, may not be sometimes the part of your study. So we move to the next topic, that is research design. Research design is nothing, it's a plan of conducting your research. Why to make a plan earlier, or why to design the research earlier? That is very important. We all must have heard that whenever we go for a research, we need to make a research map. A research map is a required idea. Map is similarly like a map that we draw for a house. Why it is important? Conceptual structure is important because it helps you in answering what, where, when, how much, and by what means about the research. What are you going to conduct? What are you going to perform as a research? Where is the area where you are going to perform that research? Sometimes we may rigid our research to our own college students. Sometimes we may rigid our research to the particular area, which may be Hyderabad. Sometimes we may rigid our research to a state, sometimes to few states, to sometimes to areas like it could be a country, but it has always has to have some limitations. Whenever you limit your research, what it ensures? The limitation ensures that the data is collected well, and whenever the research results come, it could be ensured the applicability of those research to the similar population. I'm sure you all know what does research population mean. Research population normally are those people on whom are you going to conduct the research, right? These people belong to the area where you are conducting your research. As I told you, you're trying to conduct a research on your own college students. Those people would be your research population. But if you're conducting the research in various different colleges in Hyderabad, it could be your research population. When is basically the period of your study. Whenever you are doing your research, the question when is answered with the help of the period of your research. How much? How much means the amount of sample we're going to take for the research, and by what means. Means are basically the methods for doing your research. Say, for example, I've told you earlier the topic of the research, a study of a study of students' communication skills and their performance. We are trying to find out the relationship between the two variables. Whenever you're trying to find out such relationship, we all know one of the statistical tool that could be used for finding out such relationship would be correlation. Obviously, whenever we are trying to find out relationship, correlation would be one of the basic statistical tool, right? What means does not only talks about statistical analysis or the tools of analysis. It incorporates how are you going to collect the data. It incorporates how are you going to analyze the whole process. It also incorporates how are you going to write the results. Everything, all the methodologies or all the particular ideas of all the methods that are you going to use would be incorporated. It involves a lot of planning. While we are planning the research design, you ensure that you get the maximum result at the minimum cost. What it involves? It involves the means of obtaining your information, which could be primary data, which could be secondary data. It could be availability and skills. Availability is basically when and where are you going to get the data, the skills that you require for doing the research. Sometimes you are trying to use some complex statistical tools, but for that you require skills. Then ways in which selected means be organized and reasoning. How are you going to organize the whole process of research? The time and the cost involved. All these planning will ensure that your research is conducted in a well structured manner. One of the few technical terms or jargons that we normally use while we are identifying a research design, the first technical jargon that we need to identify is the research population. Anybody can let me know what a research population is with an example? Anyone of you? I'll just check in the chat also if you respond. Anyone? Anyone, even if you wish to respond through a chat box, I've opened the chat box. I'm seeing the chat box also. I request you all to just be interactive so that I can know whether I'm able to connect with all of you or not. One of the major problems that I normally have is that I'm unable to know, because most of the screens are black. I'm unable to know whether I'm able to connect or not. So I'm able to see the chat box also. I just want to ask a simple question. I'll just repeat the question. What do you think whenever you're doing a research problem, whenever doing a research, creating a research design, what is the research population? The question is, what is the research population for your study? And why it is important to identify that population? Everyone in the meeting. Dr. Sabita says that research population is a sample. Okay, ma'am. Somebody else? What is the research population? I'll just tell you a count of implementing a set of elements, X, birth, weight. Okay. A set of okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you what a research population is and why it is so important. Research population, it's not formulation. I'm asking research population and why it is important. Why I'm not asking about formulation. Formulation is basically, we started with identifying of a research problem. I am just going to talk about the research population and the sample separately. Why are they important? Because whenever you're conducting your research, these are the two things that gives you a strong base of planning for your research, right? One, research problem, which is also known as the research universe. Why research problem and research universe are two important? One, rather they are synonyms. They are terms which are very important in research. Research population is the whole group of people on whom you can conduct your research. Right. Very good. Rachevad Gunash ji. That's great. That's great. A set of population with special characteristic. Right. I'll just add one thing. Sir is responding that it is a set of population with special characteristics which are being studied. These are the people whom we are going to study, from whom we can collect the data or the research population. They need, right, Dr. Sabita. Great. I'm glad that you're all there. I'm really happy. Right. Great, Mary, madam. Great. Okay. I'm just going to talk about the research problem. The population. Research population are those people on whom you're going to conduct your research. Say, for example, we are conducting a study on students those students on whom you're going to conduct the study, all those students together would come as a population. They would be considered as a population because they are students. If we categorize that MBA students, then all those MBA students on whom you're going to study, conduct your research. Or if they are engineering students, so all the engineering students on whom you're going to conduct the study are research population. Sometimes you are trying to conduct a research on engineering students of, say for example, southern region. Southern region is a big region. There are a lot of engineering students there. So we cannot collect data from all. Though all the students who are doing engineering becomes the part of a study, but we cannot study them all. We have a limitation. That limitation is resolved with the help of sample. Sample is nothing, it is a few from the complete research population. I request all the people to kindly turn off their mics until and unless they're speaking, so that nobody get disturbed along with me. Right? Okay. So the next idea, when we know about the research population, the next idea is sample. Why sample plays a very prominent role?
Participant, please mute your mic. I request all participants, please mute your mic.
Just a second. Okay, let it be, sir. Don't worry. Okay, so we were talking about, right. So as when we declared the idea of research population, we're going to see that whenever research population is being defined, the next stage is about identifying the research design, sample design. This sample design talks about collection of few people from the research universe. Why few? Why few? Because collecting data from all people may not be feasible every single time, right? Doing a census, we all know the government doing population census takes so much of time that they've not been able to do the census since last 10 years, right? It is a very difficult idea. Census means including each and every individual from the population. We cannot always do that. So what we do, we identify a sample. Sample is again a representative from the whole population. There could be different kinds or techniques for doing a sampling, right? There could be probability and non-probability sampling both. You must have heard about random sampling, right? That is considered as one of the best ways of doing sampling procedure. And it is considered as one of the ways of reducing the sampling error or any other error that could creep in your research. That is considered that it is one of the best ways of reducing sampling errors. But it does not really depend on what others think, but it depends on what the research objective or the research study require. The main idea, the major idea is to identify that there are two kinds of sampling, that is probability and non-probability. Probability sampling, which gives each and every individual item an equal chance to be selected in the sample, right? But non-probability, which does not give equal chance. Why it does not give the equal chance? The reason for the same is because somehow, just a second, sir, I have a phone call. Just a second. Can we just give me a minute break, please? Just a second.
Yes,
it is from the institution. Just
yes,
a minute.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry for that.
No issues.
Just a second. Hello. Hello. जी sir. अच्छा. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, all of you. Okay. I'll just, the chairman of my institution was calling for some of the reasons. I'm sorry for that. Okay. So we were talking about how to determine the sample. We were talking about two techniques through which we can identify sampling. Few techniques. The first one is the probability, where we give equal chance to all the items that are in the research population, and non-probability, where we don't give equal chance. I just have a question. Which one do you think is a better one? A probability sampling or a non-probability one? आपको क्या लगता है कौन सा ज्यादा अच्छा है, a probability one or a non-probability one? Probability, equal chance. Okay, okay. Few people consider that it is probability, right? I'll just respond. Basically, what normally happens, we all feel that yes, the random one is the best one, and the random is normally the probability one. But sometimes the objective of your research does not give you that much of liberty to go for random sampling. And when such difficulty creeps in, so you may go for non-probability without even thinking that such difficulty has arisen. Both of the techniques are good enough depending on the objective of your research. Depending on the objective of your research. I'm just going to give you example of my own research that I did. The research states that my research was on stock exchange, and when I was doing a research on my stock exchange, it was very obvious that I should go for a probability sampling. But one of the major difficulty that I was going through was that whenever I tried, I was not able to get a representative sample. So for my study, I went for a judgmental sampling. Judgmental is basically a non-probability sampling, which allows a researcher to select the sample on the basis of his own judgment. I selected a Sensex of 500. I selected 500 companies from the Bombay Stock Exchange, from the Bombay Stock Exchange 500 index. Why I did? Because maximum market capitalization was from those 500 companies, and it became more or less an acceptable idea. So even if we consider that probability or non-probability, any specific sampling is good, it is not so. Don't worry if you're not able to go for a random sampling. Sometimes purposive or judgmental sampling could also be considered as good enough sampling. Don't worry about that, right? So people do consider that probability sampling is better, but both of them could be considered, and both are equally good depending on the objective of your research. Okay, so rather than getting into the details with each and every specific sampling, we are going to talk about the collection of data. Collection of data, we all know there are two important techniques which are used. The first one is primary data, and the second one is secondary data. That is not a new idea. We all know about this. I'm not going to get into details about this. But yes, the primary data is the data which is normally collected for the first time because it is not already available. And the secondary data which is already available somewhere, and you can conduct research onto that secondary data, right? Both the data are good data. Don't ever worry that no, my research would be good only if it is primary, or my research would be good only if it is secondary. Don't worry about that. It completely depends on a question, that is, what is your research objective? If your research objective is met with the secondary data, that is perfectly fine. If it is met with the primary data, that is perfectly fine. Don't worry about what kind of data you're using. Yes, I'm just going to have a liner discussion about both. Primary data is the data which is collected for the first time, right? Which is collected for the purpose of experimentation, which is collected for the purpose of doing a survey. And secondary data, which is already available, which could be collected from various different websites, books, even some magazines, some journals, even sometimes some databases. You must have heard CMIE data provis. CMIE is basically in management. We very frequently use it. That is Center for Monitoring of Indian Economy, because we've been using such databases and such information for writing our research. So CMIE provis is considered as one of the database for collecting the information about the whole market, right? So it is one of the very regularly used index, right? So secondary data could be collected. Both of the data are good, but definitely depends on the nature of investigation. It depends on the objective of your research. It depends on the financial resources and the degree of accuracy that you require. Yes, secondary data reliability and accuracy is to be checked, and that is very important. Very important. If you're unable to check the secondary data accuracy, you may face difficulty later on. But yes, that is one of the caution that you need to apply whenever you're trying to find out whenever you're trying to use the secondary data, right? Then the next stage is execution of the project. One of the important statement I wish to give here is that better, elaborate, and specific the plan is, more acceptable, appropriate would be your results. So execution of project definitely comes with a very good and stringent planning. When you do a stringent and smart planning, you're going to get good results. You analyze the data, which requires coding, tabulation, statistical inferences, and finally you can come up with research report and other projects, right? So with this, we complete the basic idea about how to perform a research. Okay, we have discussed these statements. I consider, sir, Anand sir, and Rajlakshmi madam, the first term ends at 10:45, right? The
Yes.
first.
Yes, you are correct.
What are we going to do? We are going to give the participants a chance to ask question related to this particular whole session, and then we'll after 15 minutes we'll start the second session. I'm waiting for the questions. If you have any questions, please ask. I'm waiting for your questions. Anybody, any person having specific questions? I'm waiting for the questions. And in the next session, we are going to talk about specification, how to write a research article, a research paper. That would be the topic of the second session.
So I request all participants, please put forth your questions to our resource person, even in chat box too.
Yes, I'm reading the chat box.
We welcome your questions.
Okay, Anand sir,
Yes,
at what sharp time we'll be meeting again after 15 minutes?
yes, madam. Now 10:45, exactly 11. They will be assembled with us.
Right. I'll come back at 11. And one more thing,
Excuse me.
I'll be taking the
Excuse
questions
me.
for this session in the next point, also in the next class also.
Yes.
Right, sir?
Excuse
And
me.
someone is waiting to ask the question. I think
Right,
Sabita.
How
right.
to? Hello.
G.
Is it, ma'am? Good morning. This is Dr. Sabita, HOD of MREC Autonomous. And is it primary data, or do we call it primary source? Data
Right, madam.
is,
With the help of a primary source, we collect primary data.
so
Primary,
it should be primary source instead of data.
madam, why I have written data? The reason for the same is that normally what happened whenever we are talking about collection of data, there are two techniques, the primary data and the secondary data. Whenever we are,
Those are not technique. I'm from ELT background, English language teaching and training.
right, madam.
So those are not techniques, sorry. Those are methods. The primary source and the secondary source for the scholar.
Madam,
If I'm doing research in literature, the novels which I have selected will be the primary source for me.
right,
And the
right.
articles which are written on those things, either from the journal or from magazine, they become the secondary source. And the scholar must be fully aware of what are the primary sources and the secondary sources.
Madam, just a second. Somehow you being confused. I just want to respond one very clarity. Whenever you are stating source, you're correctly stating it as the novel that you'll be using. That is the source. Yes, that is the source. The data that you'll be collecting from that would be considered as a primary data. The data is basically a bigger term. It would be at a first end, and the source would be the second thing that you identify. Data would be the type or the method that you'll be using, and the source would be that specific place where you'll be going to collect the primary data. Is it clear, madam?
No, sorry to disagree with you. The
No
primary
issues,
data
madam. That's
is the
perfectly
data.
fine.
Primary data is the data which we conduct to the random samples. For example, if I'm a faculty in the engineering college, I want to do PhD.
No,
and
madam. You can.
and
No, madam. No, not at all. No, even non-random data could also be collected with the help of primary. I disagree, because primary data can be collected with non-random sample also and with the help of random sample also.
I'm just giving an example. Primary means initial.
Yes, primary means
similarly,
something which is not collected earlier, which is collected for the first time, is primary.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Ah,
And
so-
primary source is the place from where you'll be collecting data. Say, for example, you identify a novel.
Yeah, that agree. I agree. Primary
Right.
source is from which you collect the primary data.
Right.
So because you are from the MBA background, you are using the data. And
Right.
we, English background, we will say that the characteristic features of the characters in that novel. The
Okay.
primary character. The primary character.
Okay. That's great, madam. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh,
I've been able to add it. I have been able to add this into my vocabulary, Dr. Sabita. I'm so grateful to you.
yes,
you very
obviously, we have wonderful interaction with Sabita ma'am.
Right.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sabita madam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Okay, we observe the break for 15 minutes, then we will be back.
Right.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
I request participants, please be at 11 o'clock sharp, because our research person is going to, give a wonderful second session for us. So I'm eagerly waiting for the same. Thank you.
Okay. Am I audible, Anand sir?
Yes,
Rajat
ma'am.
ma'am?
You are audible. You are audible.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Please turn on your
Right, right, sir.
video.
Just a second. Right, sir. Okay.
Okay, good to see you. Location has been changed.
I thought the
Very good.
light is not, I'm not visibly, like I was a little bit in a dark area, so I thought I should change the position from, so that I can be seen better. So just shifted. Okay.
Ma'am, before going to start, I mean the session, the
Right.
question, then how
Right.
do we select a topic for research purpose?
Right, right, right. Very true. Sir, I'm very glad that in the next session, this is one of the very prominent idea that we are going to discuss. I'm very glad that I've prepared all this so that we can have a discussion regarding this in the next class. I'm very happy. So that is a question, and that should have been a question. If it is a question, I'm glad that I've been able to reach. Surely. So we'll be discussing this now. Anand sir, somehow your video stopped. I just can see you freezed in a very smiley state.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking, madam. You are not audible.
Just a second, sir. Just a second. I'll ensure. Though I'm in the very good internet access, somehow I can see. Is the same problem to all of them? All of you? Are you all having the similar problem? Is my voice breaking for all of you?
No, ma'am. It's
Participants,
clear.
please respond.
It's clear. Okay, great. Anybody who can feel any difficulty in the technical issue, please let me know so that I can ensure the check. Okay, so we have few steps that are very important for writing the research paper. Choosing the topic is one of the very important and a prominent idea, and people face the biggest difficulty in choosing the topic. Somehow, whenever we are writing for a conference, it becomes a little easier. And the reason for the same, because there are titles and subtitles given, we find out that which is the subtitle that we can write well, and then we write from that in that particular area. I just again want to start this session with a similar note that I started the previous session, that we somehow think that research writing is alien. But it is not. It is something that we are doing very, very regularly. Are we not solving students' problem related with communication? Are we not solving the problem how to develop communication among students? Are we not putting out and identifying techniques that we can use for better communication? Are we not trying to state that how communication skills could be better, could be ensured that a better communication skill ensures students development at all the levels? We are doing all this very regularly, but somehow writing a research paper seems very alien. I don't know why. I think whenever this question, my students, my research scholars, when they come to me, they tell me that one of the, madam, how will we identify a research topic? And that comes up as a big difficulty to them. They're like behind the topic for hours and hours, for a month or two. They keep on trying to identify the research topic. Okay, that's perfectly fine. But when we teachers need to write research papers, we have ample of topics in front of us, but we are not recognizing that. First thing to identify the research topic is to identify an interesting area, an area that you feel is good, interesting, and researchable. Identify that area initially. Keep on collecting the data every single point in time. Keep a book with you and name it as a research book. There are 3 reasons why to keep a research book with you. What is this? What is this research book? Why I am not telling you as a research journal? Why I call it as a research book? Book is that we use for reference, right? You are going to ensure that you have a book like this. I call this as a research book. Whenever something comes into my mind, I write in this book. Why I call it as a book? Because normally we read book for some problem, some issue that we are unable to get. We see it in the index, we search a topic, and we then refer that book and we try to solve out a problem. And that's why we all, if we want to be researchers, we need to ensure to have a research book. This research book will help you in motivating you for writing a research paper. A research topic need to have few important areas, and one of the very important area is any area that you are interested in. If you are choosing a topic that you are not interested in, I assure you that you won't be able to write a paper, or you would be able to write only a paper. These are the only 2 options. Only 2 options. You won't be able to write, or you will be able to write only a paper. That's it. If you want to identify a topic, identify an area of your interest, not a topic of your interest. Topic rigids you, area expands you. So this is the first thing that you need to do. Everyone, I have a interest in psychological issues related with management. So I have interest in communication skills in management students. These are the 2 areas that I love working to. So you should always choose a topic that you are in love with. It may sound a little bit weird here, but genuinely it is important. So identify a research area that you're in love with, you like, and you can pursue for a very long period of time. That is the first and the foremost thing of identifying a topic. Second thing is, whenever you are identifying a topic, few things should be very stringently avoided. One, a overdone topic should be very stringently avoided. When it is an overdone topic, the research, we can say the people who are publishing research journals, those people who are going publishing their publications in conference proceedings or anywhere in such places, they will not like to publish those topics which are repetitively worked, and you won't be able to identify a research gap in them easily. As I told you, that research gap is something which is a area where you can work. A gap is an area where other people have shown their limitation, and this is the area where you can pursue, you can give a fresh idea. So you should always identify a research area. Second, identify research gap. And thirdly, the topic should be not restricted to identifying just writing a single paper. I'll just tell you, you can write 3 papers on a data that you collect. Always 3 papers could easily be written. 1 paper can always be about review of literature. Always, on any areas, any topic, review of literature can be very easily written, because हम तो ये करते ही है, हमारे पास चॉइस नहीं है, रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर तो हमें करना ही है. तो आप बहुत बढ़िया तरीके से एक रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर का पेपर बना सकते हो. 1. 2, you from the database that you're collecting, you can generate various hypotheses, and you can write papers considering, say for example, you're having 2 or 3 objectives in your research paper. You can publish a objective in a single paper and other objectives in other papers. That's perfectly fine if it doesn't obstruct your publication, if it doesn't obstruct your result exhibition. You can do that. You can use different hypotheses for represent. जैसे I am sure whenever you have written the thesis, out of those thesis of yours, your PhD thesis, you have come up with at least 2 or 3 papers. At least some people even write more. Sometimes people even publish it as a book, right? Shodh Ganga is one of the places where people publish their research thesis, right? You can find out your research thesis in Shodh Ganga and other places also. Even Google Scholars, few people publish their research thesis, right? What you can do, you can access them, but 3 papers can easily be written on any specific topic that you are identifying. Yes, there are few issues like plagiarism, there are few issues like citations, there are few issues which are like referencing. We're going to discuss it. I am going to discuss all these, but still identifying a topic. So the first and the foremost thing, again, I'm repeating, is identify a good and interesting area. Second, identifying a topic that you can pursue easily and you like it. And thirdly, ensure that you have the appropriate and the required skill and feasibility. Why feasibility check is important? Feasibility check ensures that whatever you're trying to do, you will be able to do within your limited resources. That resources could be limited by your time also. That's perfectly fine, the time, money, or even sometimes with the skills that we may have. While writing analytical papers, we use SPSS, MATLAB, and such softwares. You can also use those softwares. That's perfectly fine. What we do, we don't try to get into multidisciplinary areas. Somehow we rigid ourselves with being in a single area of our own research skill. And a very important thing that we need to learn from Western researchers is that they are collaborating with various disciplines and they are doing research. MBA, communication skills is there. Engineering communication skills is there. Why are we considering it not as a great area? Multidisciplinary research is one of the areas that we need to tap, being communication people. If we'll be able to do that, we'll be able to have 2 advantages. One is the advantages of a bigger area. 2, advantage of using some softwares for writing analytical papers. So these are the 2 things that we need to ensure while writing a research, identifying a research topic. Do you think that I've been able to represent the idea well? Anand sir, have I answered the question well?
Fabulously.
Right. Thank you very much. We are going to move ahead. I wish that all of you please have a pen and a paper. Abhi, in the previous lecture, I asked you to see the things. I now wish that you all write few things, because these would be considered as a base for writing your research papers. Writing a basic outline these are the steps that I'm going to discuss. The first step that we have discussed is choosing the topic. While choosing the topic, as I told you, the first thing is identifying an interesting area. Second is identifying a topic that interests you, you like it. And thirdly, checking the feasibility. These are the 3 points that you need to ensure. Professor, just a second. Somebody is asking a question. Professor Ramkrishna. Acha, okay, Anand sir. Okay, Anand sir, wait. Anand sir is responding. Okay. The second point, the second step is building a basic outline. Why building a basic outline is very, very important. And what are the basic contents while building a basic outline? The first content is introduction. Why this outline is important? Because this outline will ensure that you have a structure for writing your research paper. So this structure is normally very commonly used. So the first area of outline is introduction, which would incorporate the definition of your topic that you'll be discussing. That would incorporate the implication. Why are you choosing the topic? How this concept came into your mind? how this concept can be considered as an important concept for research study. The current practices could be incorporated here. Other component could be, say for example, you are comparing to author's idea on some topic, so that comparison would be there, and then your own views that would be included into the conclusion area, right? So that is a basic guide outline that you need to formulate. You must have heard about exemplars. These exemplars are normally given by research guides. What they do, they give you a set of outline. This outline ensures as a base in which you have to fill in your information. Though exemplars are not very readily available in Indian research scene, but in Western countries, exemplars are something which are unavoidable, because we all know that the researchers there are engaged into continuous research. They don't have that much of time of guiding every individual student. So what they do, they develop exemplars. Exemplars are nothing, they are a set of guidelines. These exemplars act as a help, they act as a guideline for their research scholars. They use these exemplars for filling in the gap so that they can write their research paper or research article well, right? You can develop your own exemplar in your research book, right? These exemplars are nothing. These are the basic guidelines of writing a research paper. The third step that we need to do is reviewing literature. I'm not going to get into the details about that. Yes, I'll discuss about how to draft a proposal. This could be incorporated as a proposal drafting state, but yes, we'll be discussing that. Review of literature. Though I'm not going to get into details again, but few of the areas where this review of literature helps you in identifying the research gap, identifying the areas where you can find out what the researchers earlier have done, what results they have come up with, and what other kind of limitations they have faced. These limitations act as the area where we can conduct our research, right? These review of literature could be done with the help of various journals which are online available. The Google Scholar is one of the database. Scopus is one of the database that we can use for getting the papers. I know that one of the problems that researchers face very normally is that we don't get full paper. We get only abstract, madam. Whenever we are trying to find out whenever we are trying to read, one major problem comes that we don't get the full paper. This is one of the problems that my scholars very, very regularly come up with. But you need not to worry about that. Whenever abstract is being written, you all always have an access to the abstract of the paper, right? While writing abstract, few important ideas are always taken care. Like they always write about the title, the topic, and the importance of that title and topic in the abstract, right? Second thing they always write in the abstract is they'll always include the methodology. What have they done, right? Third, they will always include in the abstract is the result that they have come up with. And fourth, they'll always include the implications of their research. If even you are able to read the abstract of any research that are somehow you are not able to get the access to them because they are paid journals, they are paid resources, don't worry about that. You can get these four things from any abstract available. I'll read again. I'll repeat those ideas once again, because if you wish, you can write. The first thing, they'll always talk about importance and implications. Secondly, they will always talk about the methods that they have used. Thirdly, they will always and every time they'll talk about the results that they have come up with. And fourthly, they'll always talk about the implications. If even you are having these 4 things, you can read and know what this research is all about. So you need not to worry that these particular researches are unavailable to you. Don't worry about that, right? Still, Google Scholar is one of the very freely available resource where you can go and you can have access to thousands of papers. Even few of the people says that Google Scholar is a bigger database than Scopus. वैसे अपन मानते हैं they are both equally very big, but still few people say that Google Scholar is also a bigger source because we all know that Scopus is somehow restricted because it is paid, but Google Scholar is not that restricted, right? Because it is more or less freely available to us, right? So even more citation are from the papers which are indexed into Google Scholar, right? Though we don't know that, but still, I was just reading a research. It says that major citation, 94% citation are from the Google Scholar, and 69 point something where they were telling about Scopus. Scopus is definitely big in itself. We cannot compare Scopus with anything, but still, right? Next, that is 4. That always research, review, that is always to be done with the help of a spreadsheet. What does this spreadsheet means and why it is very, very important while you are doing your research review? क्या होता है, हम रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर जब करते हैं तो हम एक बहुत मेजर परेशानी में फंस जाते हैं. What is the major difficulty to that? The major difficulty when we are normally doing a literature review is that we note the results, we note the important points, but for referencing, we forget the website, we forget the place from where we have taken the paper. Never do this mistake while reviewing your literature. While reviewing literature, you should always maintain a spreadsheet or a Word file that would ensure that every time that you're reading any literature that is relevant to your topic, always write specific points. What points you should write in that spreadsheet? 1, copy the title index, that is the address of that paper in your spreadsheet, so that for further referencing you can use it. 2, ensure that whenever you are maintaining this spreadsheet, highlight what are the what is the importance and implication of the topic. Highlight and copy the method they have used. Highlight and copy the result. Highlight and copy the limitations. These 4 things you should 110% ensure. If you are not doing the same, you'll face one of the major problems. What major problem? You know, that whenever you are writing reference, you will not be able to relate. That would come as a plagiarism in your paper. Plagiarism, if you wish to remove plagiarism, one of the most important things is that you should know plagiarism. If you can remove plagiarism only when you know plagiarism well. There are different kinds of plagiarism. And when we teach our research scholar how to remove plagiarism, first we teach them what are the kinds of plagiarism they normally face. What are the kinds of plagiarism that comes into the research, report, the plagiarism report that we generate from various softwares, right? Plagiarism checking softwares, right? I'll talk about those plagiarism checking softwares also a little later. So while reviewing literature, maintaining a spreadsheet helps you in writing the references. That plays a very prominent role. Whenever you want to publish a paper into a good research journal, your references are being checked. They find out from where you have taken references. You all know that the base, wherever you are doing, the base from where you have taken the data, taken information, even as an idea, should be good. If that idea is taken from a mediocre paper, your paper is not expected to be good. So always take idea from a good paper, good journals, good conference proceedings. Specifications of that paper should be mentioned. You have read a good paper, but not mentioned it as a reference. You've missed the point. Don't do that, please. You should take care of that. Maintain a spreadsheet. I tell my students, always maintain a spreadsheet. You're reading 100 paper, maintain it in a spreadsheet. That is very much required. Later to that, whenever you are now moving ahead, what you can do whenever you are moving ahead with the literature review, after the literature review, categorize your highlights that you are going to use in your paper. Every time when you do a literature review, you find out few areas, few specific topics, or few specific objectives that you are also going to pursue, right? Outline that, make it a highlight. That highlight would ensure, would help you while you are writing a paper, right? Writing, grammar, writing, being right in words. I need not to teach anything to you about this. You are all expert into this. Being using right words at right places, using right grammar, you are all expert to that. But yes, being put, now the idea is to put what all you have identified in the outline that was created in the point number 1, right? Categorize, and now you can use here a visualization technique. What does visualization technique means? Visualization technique means that you can identify a block, a middle block. I'll just show you in the Excel in a Word format. Just a second. I'm sharing the screen. Madam, please enable my screen share. Allow me to share my screen, please. I'll just help you to understand the visualization technique with the help of a diagram. Just, I'm still disabled.
I've done, ma'am. You can
Okay,
see.
okay.
You can see.
No, madam. The host disabled participant screen sharing. No issues, no issues. आप कर लीजिए, आप हो जाए तो मुझे बता दीजिएगा. No issues. A visualization technique basically help you in visualizing your paper. Normally, what happens? We don't visualize how the paper would look like. We normally, what we do, we start writing, and then we read and we think, "Arey, we have put in a wrong sequence." But visualization techniques helps you in putting everything in a right sequence. Visualization technique is basically, I think I'm allowed now. No, I'm still not allowed. No issues. No issues, madam. I'll help. I'll ensure it with the help of. No issues. No issues. Okay. So the visualization technique. The visualization techniques basically helps you in visualizing the whole research area and the research topic in a format of a diagram, right? A center would talk about what is your research objective. That central topic would lead you to all the research methods you need to adopt. Like you have made an outline which talks about introduction. The second outline that you have made about which talks about the, just a second. Okay, the second title or second area talks about the collection of data, which could be related with the methodology. The third area which talks about writing about some specific concept, which could be then which could be associated with writing some specific conclusion. Whenever you're doing so, visualize what all topics would be included into all these small chapters. Whenever you write it in a diagrammatical form, one, you understand the flow. Second, you understand what should not be eliminated. Normally, we talk about inclusion, but we should also talk about what important things should not be excluded, right? So visualization technique would help you in creating a good outline. Now, when you have collected the data, you can fill the outline and you can move ahead, right? Writing draft is the next stage. You can write a detailed outline. You can now reference. You can use the spreadsheet that you have used, right? and then later on referencing would be done. We are going to discuss few topics. जैसे मैंने कहा, I wish all of you are, I'm hoping that all of you are having pens and papers in your hand. I'll again read few titles that I'm going to discuss. That writing a research paper, the first, it starts with the title and affiliations, right? Titles and affiliations. There are few important points that we need to remember while quoting the title of your research title or the research topic. It is known as the 5-point strategy. We teach it normally to the student, the 5-point strategy. What is this 5-point strategy talks about? The first is that it should be limited to 8 to 15 words, not more than that. 8 to 15 words. Why 8 to 15 words? Lesser than that would not give a clear idea to the people who are reading the paper. More than that can be verbose. So at least 8 to 15 words would be good. The topic should be relevant to your subject. It should be extremely relevant, very relevant, very relevant. Then it should always be in a single phase. It should always be in a single phase, right? Rarely use a question. Don't use a question in the topic, but sometimes you may use, if you think that it is important, you think that it could not be eliminated, you may use a question, but try not to use it, right? Ensure correct grammar and ensure correct capitalization of words while writing the topic. That is very important. Normally what happens, every journal and every conference have a specific format of writing your research title. If they ask you to capitalize each word, you capitalize. If they ask you to not capitalize all the words, don't capitalize, but still capitalizing is considered, all the words capitalization is considered, but yes, on, at, the, it should not, these words should not be capitalized. The title should be specific, but not very lengthy. You need to check. And you should avoid abbreviations while writing the title. That is very, very important, right? Second is about affiliation. Affiliation is basically the idea which talks about the authors who are there. There may be single author, that is you. There may be some other authors along, but the corresponding author is the person who will be corresponding with the research journal. The journal people would be able to talk to the corresponding author only. The person is responsible for making changes whenever any changes, any editing that is required on the behalf of the authors, the corresponding author would be able to do. The affiliation talk about the the company, organization or institute in which the people are working, the authors and the co-authors are working, right? Normally professor, doctor, such addition to your names are not written when you are writing a good research paper. Footnotes basically helps you in giving information about the topic, right? Second point, when you write a research paper comes the abstract, writing an abstract. What does abstract talk about? Abstract is basically summarizing your whole paper in less than 300 words. It could be somewhere, it could be asked, you have to summarize it in 150 words, 200 words, but it is normally 300, not more than 300 words. What should be avoided in writing an abstract? That is very important. Normally what we do, we think about what should be included, but I'll say what should not be included. One, you should not include references here in the abstract, because it would reduce the word limit of yours more. Don't do that. Second, you should not include tables, figures, charts. That should not be included in your abstract. Third, which should completely be avoided, your abbreviations should be avoided, completely avoided. You should not use abbreviations here. Though if sometimes there is a requirement, you may include abbreviations, but normally you should avoid. What should be in your abstract? Again, very important. What should be there? One, It should incorporate the importance and introduction about your topic. Why research on this topic? What is your topic about? Very important. Method, what you have done. That is very important, the abstract. Third, what is the result that you have found out? Very important. Fourth, implication of your research. Very, very important. Why these things are considered important? Because even when you are reading someone's abstract and you want to get idea from what people have done, similarly, they also want to have an idea about the same. So you should also be able to give idea. When your abstract is good, you will get citation. Your keywords are good, you will be able to get citation. Keywords are the words through which your paper is being searched. We all know that there are keywords required after abstract. Though we don't give that much of importance to those keywords, but these keywords act as the way of searching your paper on the net. How you will be searched? You will not be searched by your own name. You will be searched with the help of the keywords that are being used after the abstract. We don't give importance to these keywords, which help as a base. We have heard about which is known as search engine optimization. You all know what is search engine optimization. I'm sure about that. Search engine optimization do nothing. It helps you in getting the keywords in your website or on your LinkedIn, so that you can directly go and people can search you directly with the help of those keywords. Similarly, the keywords act as a base for you to increase your citation.
Excuse me, madam. Namita,
Ji,
madam.
Right, sir.
Share screen, ma'am.
Ji, sir.
You can share your screen, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry for disturbing you.
No issues, madam. I was just trying to tell you about the visualization map. Because I'll be working on the screen, it won't be a bigger screen, but still, I just want to tell you that how the visualization map works. Why I wanted to tell you about this? Because this visualization map helps you in understanding how the whole process would go. Normally, such kind of hierarchy could be used for visualization. When you are writing a paper, this can act as a visualization map. This is like a visualization map while writing a paper. As I told you earlier, that normally what we do, we just start writing. But the idea is not about writing. It's about creating a good map. We all know a good house is built with the help of a good map only. Similarly, a good research paper is built with the help of a good visualization map only. Because in the human brain is good at visualizing rather than just writing. This acts as a first step in knowing how your paper would look like. Say, for example, here you state the objective of your paper. On the basis of this objective, you will be able to identify how you will be collecting the data, right? On the basis of this collection data objective, you will be able to know the way analytical technique. Right? And this kind of visualization map helps you in putting all your ideas in a diagrammatical format, and this diagrammatical format helps you in making a sequence while you are writing a paper. Right? Normally what happens, we don't put in such kind of visualization while writing paper, and we miss a very important trick. It makes your research publication faster, because every time you must, while writing, you must have done one thing. You wrote something a day earlier. When you go to the table again, what you have to do, you have to read the whole thing again. Sometimes you are unable to even comprehend. While analysis, we normally tell our students to go hand in hand. What does this hand in hand technique talks about? That do analysis and inference hand in hand. Don't do it separately. Making a table and then analyzing it next day, you won't be able to do that. This visualization technique is going to do a hand in hand technique for you. This will help you in recalling whatever you have planned earlier with the help of this technique, right? Is the visualization technique clear to all of you? Right. So I was just talking about a few things. I'm sure you have written what kind of ideas we need to take care while we are writing the abstract. I'll just repeat it once again, because I think these are very important. Importance and introduction, methods, the results, and the implications. Again, talking about the keywords, why keyword is important. Keywords are basically the way to get your ideas or your paper cited. We all know citation plays a very prominent role in our life. When you get more citations, you get happy. You feel honored that my paper is being cited. And UGC says that if you self-cite your paper, that is self-plagiarism. You should not do this. Oh, so they disallow you to self-cite, and what you should do, you should have two things. You should have good friends in your own community so that they can cite your paper. Two, you should use right keywords so that your papers could be cited. That is very important. If you do both of them, you will be having more citations, right? Then the next stage is about writing introduction. While writing introduction, all of you should perform this. What you should do, write 2 papers of introduction. Without thinking about limitations of how long or lengthy paper you can write 2 pages of your introduction. Though it may not always allow any research, any article most of the articles have some limitations, word limitations. But writing your research introduction elaborately will help you in putting those ideas later in your paper also. After writing it in a 2-page, summarize it to 2 paragraphs. When you summarize it to 2 paragraphs, you won't be able to miss important details, and you'll be able to include every important information without missing it. So these are the 2 things that are required, right? Again, literature review. This is one of the things that I've talked about so many times, but still that is very important. Points that are to be covered is that what are the limitations, what are the gaps, what are the results, the findings. That these are very important. From where you can do literature review? From books, journals, conference proceedings, from previous thesis of people that who have written, right? Next is about methodology and experimentation. If you're doing any experimentation, that experimentation is going to be represented in the methodology area, right? That research methodology basically tells you how have you done your research, right? Now you come to the main part of your research, that is analysis, right? Here you can divide your paper into small parts. That's perfectly fine. If you have 3 objectives, you can divide your major part, that is analytical portion, into 3 points. Perfectly fine. 1 objective, tables associated with it, inferences associated with this, results associated with the tables, that is inferences drawn from the tables. You can state that, right? You can divide it into the parts without much difficulty, without much thought. Then you move toward results and discussion. What results and discussions basically are? They're nothing, they're validation. Kyun kiya bhai, but why have you done so much of research? This is about validating. Whenever you do any research, the relevance of research comes up only from the research results. Are you fresh? Are you representing something new? Is your sample studied, a new sample? Are you coming up with fresh findings? If yes, You can validate that you have whatever research gaps you have identified earlier, those research gaps are being filled. Normally, what we do validate, but state that how you have built in and bridged in that gap which you have identified in the research literature review. That is very important. That gap validation will ensure that your work is new, that you have contributed to the society, you have contributed for the betterment of the people, you have contributed to a particular section of people, you contributed to it for their betterment, right? Finally, there comes a conclusion. What happened? Normally, people get confused. Abstract, conclusion, both are talking about a small paragraph. What should be avoided and what should be included? In conclusion, you can include tables. Some important tables can be included without much difficulty, without much thought. Basically, conclusion is a summary of the result, and abstract is a summary of the paper. Simple, right? Tables, figures can be used in conclusion, should be used rather, right? It should be very, very result specific. More result specific, better conclusion would be made. Ensure that whatever the topic that you have studied, that is stated in your conclusion along with how you have filled that research gap, right? After that comes one of the very difficult portion that people normally face difficulty in is reference writing. Writing references is considered as one of the major difficulties, but it's not that difficult. Writing references. Why writing references? First of all, because whenever you're writing references, you are giving credit to the concerned person who have contributed to the idea that you have taken in your paper. And you don't want to copy anybody's idea. You're not interested in taking anybody's credit. You just want to show that yes, we have done something new, but the basic idea was taken from this person. That's perfectly fine. That should be stated in the reference. There are various different kinds of stating references. Harvard kind of references, Vancouver kind of references, APA references, Chicago references, but very generally, very regularly, the references which are used is APA, very commonly used, Vancouver used, and Harvard, which is very commonly used. We'll talk about that also, but still, right? So these are the referencing styles. We'll talk about the referencing and citation styles. But before that, I'm going to talk about plagiarism. You all know what plagiarism is. Plagiarism is basically copying somebody's work without referencing or without giving credit to the concerned person. You should not do that. We all know that, and we don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. But sometimes what happens, why plagiarism normally happen to us, is that we think that we are unable to express the same thing in our own words in a better manner. So that's why plagiarism sometimes happen. But before, as I already told you a little earlier, how to remove plagiarism, first you need to know what plagiarism normally is. There are different kinds of plagiarism. Normally 5 kinds of plagiarism are there. We're going to talk about those kinds of plagiarism. As and when this plagiarism is sorted, you will be able to write more and more research papers, right? The first plagiarism kind is a general or complete plagiarism. This is a strict no-no. A strict no-no. General plagiarism means that you write, copy everything and just send it to people. If you're doing that, you may be blacklisted from very good journals. People won't even consider you as a researcher. Please never do that, right? The second kind of plagiarism is verbatim. Verbatim plagiarism basically is copying, pasting, copy paste without citation, right? You may copy paste, but with referencing. You may, again I'm repeating, you may copy paste. It is not a crime, but with referencing, right? Third kind of plagiarism, though it cannot be like caught with the help of software, that is paraphrasing. Normally what people do, they copy the paragraph and write it in their own words, change the word here and there, and the plagiarism checker won't be able to catch them. Until and unless, I should not say this, but still, until and unless the plagiarism checker is unable to catch you, that could not be considered as a plagiarism. But still, any idea, if you're taking it completely from somebody else without any modification, you should always put in reference. The fourth kind of reference is mosaic or a patchwork reference. What does this patchwork reference means? What you do, you identify a few good ideas from one paper, then from second, from third, from fourth, from fifth, from sixth, and you put all that together and then write a paper. That is the fourth kind of plagiarism, that is mosaic or a patchwork kind of plagiarism. The fifth kind of plagiarism is self-plagiarism, where from your own paper, previous paper, you put in that paper and then you get citation for that. You, as I already told you, UGC disallow you. They say that you should not do this because it is not a right practice. But yes, UGC disallows you and they call it as self-plagiarism. You should not do that, right? And last is accidental plagiarism. That is completely okay. Sometimes it may happen. There are few technical words which are normally repeated. You cannot try and reduce it. आप कर ही नहीं सकते उसका कुछ भी. You cannot do anything about that. That's perfectly fine. That accidental plagiarism could be reduced. When you're trying to reduce or eliminate plagiarism, there are few steps that you need to follow. As I told you, first step is to understand the plagiarism well. When you understand the plagiarism well, you can genuinely eliminate the plagiarism. The second is starting early. आप सोचोगे कि अरे ये कैसा टेक्निक है plagiarism हटाने का? But yes, it is. When you want to contribute your paper into a journal which is limited by time, date, a conference paper which is limited by time and date, if you start on last few 15 days, 100% you're going to copy. If you start early, you'll be able to put in your own ideas. You'll be able to contribute your own ideas. So start early definitely is the technique for avoiding plagiarism, reducing plagiarism, right? Third, ensure proper citations. A proper citation ensure that your plagiarism is reduced. If you cite, if you state the reference, that particular idea, that particular paragraph won't be considered as plagiarized, right? Though I have already told you that paraphrasing is one kind of plagiarism. Still, one of the step in reducing plagiarism is paraphrasing properly. Paraphrasing properly. Why it is important? Why paraphrasing properly is important? Because when you put your research idea into your own words, into proper words, automatically your research would be less plagiarized. Paraphrasing is one of the techniques of reducing your plagiarism to almost acceptable limits. Whenever we write modules for various universities, what they do, they first ask for the manuscript. You send them the manuscript and then they return that manuscript to you with a plagiarism report. I have been considered as one of the I was given the credit of one of the contributors who always got less than 5% plagiarism. Always 5% lesser, 5% and less plagiarism. And genuinely, thank you. Why I'm telling you that knowing plagiarism is very, very important for reducing plagiarism, right? And if you are genuinely paraphrasing it well, thank you, all of you. If you're paraphrasing it well, you can normally reduce plagiarism to a very, very grand level. You won't be even included in the any kind of plagiarism, right? And present your own idea. That is one of the major techniques. There are various softwares which are being used, right? Uh, Anand sir, I'll complete the whole lecture at 12:15 sharp. So you need not to worry because I'll also have to leave for the institution. So complete it at 12 sharp 12:15. One.
Great
Right.
going, ma'am. So
Right.
informative and interesting session. We don't
Thank
want to
you
wind
very
it
much,
actually.
madam. What I'll do, I'll just have one more important thing to talk about is the way of referencing, and then we'll be completing it. Not more than that. Okay, I was just talking about what kind of softwares could be used for plagiarism and why free and why not free. Paid and free softwares, how they can be categorized. You all must be knowing there are various free softwares available, but you should always use free software cautiously. Sometimes what they do, they put your whole paper into their repository, and sometimes when you again go for checking your paper, they tell you that it is plagiarized, your own paper, and because it is in their repository, they tell you that it is plagiarized. So be cautious, very, very cautious while using free software. I don't ask you all to go for buying a very, very costly softwares. No, don't do that. But still, right? Free softwares, you can use Orkund. That's very good, right? Plagiarism tracker, few of them which are named as are plagiarism tracker. Copy leak is there. Plagiarisma is there. Then dupli checker is there. Then some plagiarism scan is there. Plagiarism checker is there. You can use all this, but still try and avoid using some of the softwares which are very, very freely available. Some paid ones are Bibme, then Scribber. Turnitin is one of the softwares which is genuinely very much in use and which is acceptable. I'm hoping that most of the organization and your organizations in which you are working, you all also have plagiarism software. So use those which are more authentic and which you have subscribed for. That ensures that they don't take any repository backup of your paper and your paper is being checked well, right? So ensure that. We are going to talk about citation and referencing, which is considered as very important while writing research paper. And one very important thing again, as I told you, that keyword is one of the very important things which helps you in getting citation. Similarly, a good citation also ensure your place in a good journal. Good references, good citations in your research paper ensure that your quality of research paper is good. Though you may think that it does not really impact, but yes, it do impact. It have a lot of impact. Your paper is like gets more acceptable when you in like cite index Scopus index journals, some good index journals. Your Indian index is also there, you can use that. So Indian citation index is also there, so you can use that also. And these indexes can help you in getting good research articles. Shodh Ganga is one of the good place. Nowadays, government is trying to ensure that a lot of people start doing research. It is trying to help all the professors sitting here to start writing research paper without much thought process. You all just start. I assure you that if, when you start, you're going to complete it. People always have a blockage that we will need time. We'll need time. Yes, you'll need time. But when you start, you'll be able to place that time for a right and a very objectful work, right? So start writing, that is very important. I'm going to talk about citation. I'll just show you a square block, which is normally used, square paragraph, like block, which is used. Just a second. Let me share a screen. You must have seen this in while citation. Just a second. A paragraph of this block is normally a very useful block. We can say the citation block. We call it as a citation block. Why citation block? A useful citation block. This block is basically more and more such blocks. We'll also be happy to have our name in such blocks. These are the ways through which you quote your reference in your paper, right? You normally write the author's name, author's name, and this block as 1, 2, 3, 4. The number that is inside this particular paragraph, this particular block, is the number that you are citing in your reference, right? Say for example, you here write Kotler. You're quoting Kotler's book. And now here at the first number, in the reference section, you write about the Kotler's book detail, the author, the book, the publisher, the year maybe, the year maybe. Then it also incorporates sometimes the page numbers. These whenever we talk about the styles of referencing, just have a change in the order of the author, the journal or the book, the publisher, the publication house, it may be the year, the page number. The order of the same normally changes when the kind or the style of referencing normally change. Citation is basically done in the manner where you state a number of that particular paper or the author in your paper wherever you cited that, and then you state it in the reference column. Normally, alphabetical order is used for the purpose of referencing. Alphabetical order is normally used for the purpose of referencing, right? We are just going to see, I'm just going to share a screen with all of you. I'm just going to talk about few of the citation styles and especially APA first. Just a minute. I'm going to share the screen and I'm not going to take much time. Meanwhile, I will wish that you all send your questions in the chat box or kindly ask any questions that you have in your mind, please. I'm waiting for your questions. Any questions, any query? Anand sir, Madam Rajlakshmi, Madam, any person, please. I'm waiting for your questions so that we can genuinely resolve those questions.
Ma'am.
Ji.
A question to you. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Whenever I prepared the research paper,
right,
I'm facing a little bit of complication, especially preparing a systematic literature review.
Right, sir.
Then how do we, resolve all these things, ma'am?
Sir, normally
Now
there are-
I'm reviewing a lot of, journals or like, whatever I have the resource. But still I have, a little bit confusion over there while preparing the SLR.
Sir, normally what happened whenever we are going for a literature review, there are two specific ways. When you quote your papers, you can quote your papers on the basis of the relevance associated with your paper, right? Secondly, you can quote it on the basis of the years of their publication. You can use a tabular format. Normally what happens when we try to put many research reviews and review of literature, what happen normally we are unable to put all the important details. We can use a tabular format. That tabular format, even you may not state the tabular format, but while you are making a review of literature, you make a table format. What this table format would include, it would include the person's name, it would include the year, it would include the work that they have done, and it would include the results, and last would be including the limitations. This would help you in ensuring that you don't ever miss any detail related with the paper. Normally what happens, we write it in a paragraph format and we sometimes miss. But when the table would be missing now, when a point in the table would be missing, you will feel, Arey, I have not pointed out this. But while writing in a paragraph, we may miss it. That is very regularly a process. But in a table, any missing idea, Arey, we have not seen this. So you will never face a difficulty ever again while writing a literature review.
Yes.
Any other questions, please? I'll give you a link where you can find out the referencing patterns. So that would be a good way out.
Okay, I request participant, please raise your questions. The resource person is eagerly awaiting to answer to all your questions, right? Of course, it's a wonderful session. There is no doubt about Mr. Krishna Kumar.
I am what I'm doing. I'm sharing a link with all of you in the chat box. This link will help you in getting all the kinds of styles of referencing. All the styles of referencing, and it is a genuine website. You will be able to use it. Always ensure that whatever kind of referencing you're doing, you should check that what is an acceptable kind of referencing for the journal that you're using, because they all state a different kind of referencing pattern, and always ensure that you check it before referencing. You may have to work extra hard, right? Sir, Dr. Venkatesh is asking, is hypothesis a must for synopsis? It is not compulsory. Hypothesis is just an assumption which you may have in your research. Sometimes you may not have in your research. That's perfectly okay. If you don't have an assumption or a hypothesis in your study, there is no need to mention in your synopsis. But analytical researches always include hypothesis. So it's like something which could not be avoided when you are writing an analytical paper, but still. Dr. Venkateshwar, is it like, am I clear about the idea?
I think he is having a high potential to write analytical paper.
Right, sir. I wish you write more and more analytical paper. And Anand sir, I'll definitely say that communication people have a lot of scope of writing papers.
Yes.
A bigger scope. What happens normally, we should get in hand with some multidisciplinary people. What you should do, sir, you get in touch with the marketing people. They are very, communication and marketing are two areas which are very, very closely connected.
Obviously, madam, they are, following the recent trends also.
Right, we should do that, and we can write n number of papers on communication with the help of these people. They can collect the data, they can help you in other things also. And writing mein to hamare ko, we cannot be like we are nonetheless we are the best rather in writing. We have the best skills for that.
Correct. You're correct.
Any other questions?
Ma'am, good afternoon.
Hanji,
Good afternoon. Recently, I edited one statistics paper, though I am from English background, and also one PhD thesis from the computer background. So in the statistical paper, it was about 95% was plagiarized. And in the Turnitin, it was shown, and somehow each chapter is again analyzed and it has come down. But people who have identified the plagiarism and they can't paraphrase it, what is the solution would you give?
Madam, normally what happened, people don't give a good brain on papers they're writing. That is one of the very big difficulty. They are somehow, technical people somehow lack the skill that communication people have, that they don't have that big, we can say a big library of words. And that is one of the very missing link, big missing link to them. If they can have, they can take help from people from communication background to even edit previous to plagiarism check, they can get this problem resolved. They should always, rather I should say that they should always have a good friend in communication department so that they can get help. So, and the paraphrasing, the self paraphrasing is one of the techniques of reducing plagiarism. People, what they do, they send their data, their whole manuscript without even checking it once. They are in hurry of completing their work, and the final draft is to be checked twice, not only not only by you but by an expert also. And that is one of the missing things in India. We don't get it checked from
That's
experts.
the reason the professors are referring that please show it to the English expert.
Right, they should. They should.
The professors, so once we come to read either the abstract or synopsis or the full thesis, lot of articles, the a and missing, and the prepositions are absolutely, I mean, very incorrectly used.
Right.
Very pathetic situation of English in India.
Right, madam, I do agree. And that is one of the problems with more or less very many technical people. They do good research, but they are unable to present their whole manuscript in a good format. They should take help from communication department, and it is very important.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ma'am, about plagiarism.
Right.
Actually, what happened, last time I had two different types of, response from two different softwares. One plagiarism shows that 12%, and another plagiarism shows that 8%.
Right, sir. Normally, what happened? Plagiarism softwares always check from the database that they have.
Okay.
The smaller the database, lesser would be the plagiarism. The bigger the database of the plagiarism software, the higher could be the plagiarism.
Okay.
So that depends on the database size that these people, the plagiarism checkers, have. That is the possibility. That is definitely the possibility that can happen.
So better we have to extract an individual software for verifying all.
Right. That's why the paid softwares are required. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, participants, I request one and all, please raise your questions. Resource person is waiting.
And sir, Anand sir, I've sent the link of the referencing style in this particular like chat box. Kindly send it to all the participants so that they can also have a reference. They can also see how the referencing could be done. Normally, referencing only change with the help of the change in the process of writing. Like somehow the authors or the publication years may have a replacement. Normally doesn't change much, but yes, it should be followed as strictly as required by the publishers. It may be journals who they require APA public kind of referencing, or Vancouver, that should be followed strictly. Okay. So it is 12:15. If you have any questions remaining, then okay. Nahi to fir we shall
Yes, you
check
have done
out.
your job.
Yes. I'm glad,
As you
sir.
said, 12:15. Yes, exactly.
Yes, yes, sir. As I told you, I have to leave to the institution. They are all waiting for me.
Yes, obviously you had a call from your chairman.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Participants, any questions or shall I proceed further?
Please share S if it is okay to you.
Okay.
Inbox. Thank you.
Okay, I think they don't have any queries for you, madam. Okay, I want to conclude the session. First and foremost, a big thanks to you because you have given a wonderful session for us, especially in research methodology. Obviously, we have learned like how to write a paper and what are the components of the paper and how do we avoid plagiarisms and all. There are quite a number of interesting stories which you have given. Definitely, ma'am, we cannot forget it. And what we call it's very informative session. Obviously, the candidates, I mean the participants who have mentioned in the chat box too. And you are like somewhat different and interacting with the people fabulously. And your presentation, I should not say your presentation, better we call it like as an abstract of the presentation of research methodology, along with the keywords like what you are given, like interest, validation, and contribution, and betterment. There are quite number of keywords, it's really interesting. And you stated, ma'am, clearly that how to write everything. And finally, I think you have given your hallmark, I mean, in this session, especially in the research methodology session. And definitely we take, I mean, an oath, or like we give you the declaration that we have to write the papers hereafter periodically.
I wish more and more research papers would come after this.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And you are like you have the sense of humor. More. That's the reason, often you are interacting with the people with a pleasant smile. A being trainer, I would like to see you in this way. So go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for your presence, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. That was really a nice session. I don't know about me, but I enjoyed being with Anand sir, Ishrat madam, and Raj Lakshmi madam, and madam Dr.
Ishrat.
Like Sabhita madam. I'm happy that you've asked so many questions. Ishrat madam, all of you. I'm really glad that I've been here and the part of you all as a journey to write good research papers. I'm happy to interact with all of you. Thank you very much.
Yes. Participants, please stay on the line. I'll post the main feedback link.
Okay, shall I leave, Rajlakshmi ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye. Thank you. All the best to all of you.
Posted the link. We'll be waiting for you for 5 minutes. After that, the link will be blocked. Hope that you will do it.
So I request all the participants, please contribute towards feedback form, because as Rajalakshmi ma'am, instructed clearly that it has to be closed.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, can we have this YouTube link as we got received yesterday of today's session
We'll
as well?
post it in the group.
So it will be posted.
Sure, ma'am, because there are some information that madam was sharing, so we can refer to that. Thank you.
Yes. Actually,
Have
we
this
post
chat
in the
box,
group,
madam,
ma'am.
now.
You can check it. Already it is there in the group as well. We'll copy
Okay,
paste
I
it
just
already
want-
again in the box.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, madam. Can we leave, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
After completion of feedback form, hopefully.
Sure.
Tomorrow we
We'll
are
wait
going
by
to
then.
meet you by sharp 9:30. And we have
Certainly,
very
madam,
interesting session tomorrow, and it will be also productive like yesterday and today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
YouTube link is there in the chat box.
Yeah, YouTube link is there in the chat box. Thank you, sir. Can we Hmm?
Shall we wind up for the day, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coordination and cooperation.
Kapila sir, thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Have a good day.
Bye, sir, ma'am, madam.